chased by the deep state, fighting for independence, thinking about revolution, looking for alternative solutions. The enemies of the deep state will tell you what others even don't dare to think. Manuel Ochsenreiter and Mateusz Piskorski.
Hello, hello, hello. Here is the podcast DieGutenMenschen, Public Enemies of the Deep State. After a short summer break, we are back. This is as usual Manuel Ochsenreiter, editor-in-chief of the German news magazine Zuerst, and on the other side, my friend and colleague Mateusz Piskorski. Hello, Mateusz.
Hello, hello, from the dungeons of Poland, yes.
Yes.
From the dungeons of post-electoral Poland.
Yes, it's a paradise of democracy, I was reading everywhere. So how does it feel? How is it in Poland?
Well, we breathe an air of freedom, democracy, and all human liberties you could imagine, yes? As you know, we had a very fair and just election, so people are really happy. I mean, not because of the sunshine outside, yes, but they are really happy with what they have here, yeah? And they have proved that they are happy. They have voted for Andzej Duda, one of the most talented and intellectually skilled presidents of contemporary Europe.
Well, yes, but it was quite tense, the result, right? So he and his competitor were. I'm not. I have to say it for the audience. It is not that I think negative or more negative about the competitor than about Duda, but I simply cannot pronounce his name. I don't get it.
It's so nice. Trzaskowski. Can you repeat that?
Say it again.
Trzaskowski.
Yeah. Oh, that was easy. That was easy. You know. I mean, sorry to say this.
But can you imagine that Duda, with a name which is very simple to pronounce, has during all the electoral campaign accused Trzaskowski of having strange ties with Germany and German media, and I was wondering could it be possible concerning the fact that a German cannot even spell his name?
You know, for me, these names all sound like Brezhnev Knurminsk or so. Yes. It is. Or, you know, this joke, like a cat walking over my keyboard. Yeah, that is. Yes, and he has secret ties with us. Tell me more.
I think that particularly for our German listeners as well, it's quite interesting because at the last week of the electoral campaign, we had a huge wave of very serious accusations against Trzaskowski, which was a candidate from the neoliberal opposition, made by the public, by the state media and by the ruling party, about the involvement of German-owned media on behalf of the neoliberal opposition candidate, yes? So they have accused all the German media, those ideas, because I cannot find another word, yes? They have even invited the chef d'affaires of the German embassy in Warsaw to explain all the situation in our Ministry of Foreign Affairs. I mean, he was asked about the publications of private German media about acting president. Yes, so the guy was shocked. I mean, I've seen his reaction, and he was really shocked because it was I don't know, something like a cultural, civilizational shock for him. Yes, when being when being accused, brutally accused that you are interfering in our elections. Yes, so this time Germany was the main foe. Germany was the main, let's say, country which was plotting against the acting president of Poland. It was very strange because it was not Russia as usually, but yes, this time it was Germany. Yes, yeah.
So Russia had some time to recover from.
Yes. So the most vicious country in the eyes of the people who have prepared the campaign of Duda are the Germans. Who are plotting and trying to elect as a president, a neoliberal president. Yes.
So just in a nutshell, do I get it right? The German ambassador was ordered to go to the foreign ministry to explain and to maybe apologize or whatever.
Exactly.
For what Polish media are writing, which are in the hands of German private publishing companies.
Yes, fortunately, the ambassador, as I understand himself, he has went for a vacation, for a holiday during the time of the elections, and that's why on his behalf, Charge d'Affaires came there, yes, from the German embassy. But it was, it was the situation when an ambassador was ordered to come and to explain the publications in several German media. I don't know if Zuerst was on the list, but I know that Die Welt and some others were there, yes.
Now we, Zuerst always takes a strong stance for U.S. president, so So I forgot.
I think that it would be quite probable that Zuerst is also there on the blacklist of the German media because of your interview with Janusz Korwin-Mikke, our politician who is definitely in opposition. Yes, to the. So that's quite possible. Anyway, to tell you a few words about the elections we have here. Well, we have a strong backlash effect, that the effect which has been described in the United States and in some other countries. During the 90s, we had the way of neoliberal politically correct, let's say liberal democratic parties and so on. Yes, we had this economic transformation. And people were, to a large extent, humiliated by the conditions of living and so on, yes? So now it's enough to have a very, very simple, I would even say primitive, populist message for the people to become elected. Mm-hmm. And it is also very interesting, also for you as a German, because if you look at the map of Poland, as you know, in the 19th century, Poland was divided between Russia, Austria, and Germany, yes? Mm-hmm. So the parts which used to belong to Russia and the part which used to belong to Austria voted for the acting president and for the ruling party. Mm-hmm. The part which used to be Germany, I mean, not only the Polish territories occupied in the 19th century, but also the former German territories like Stettin, Breslau, and so on, voted for the opposition, yes? So you have a very clear political cleavage and division between geographically, yes? The west and north of Poland and the south and east of Poland.
But this is, by the way, I always wanted to ask you because this is now really interesting. If you look at any socio-economical map of Poland, may it be, almost whatever the topic is, you see a huge difference between these parts of Poland. How come? Because what I know is after World War II, since a huge part of the population in today's western territories of Poland was replaced by Polish people coming from the very east, the part which is, I think, now part of Belarus and Ukraine, were settled there. So how come? Why? What makes that difference?
Well, what makes the difference? First, I would say that, as you know, I was born in Stettin as well. Yeah. So I know those regions. Yes. You are not right that the cities like Stettin, Breslau, and so on, and that those territories were populated by people coming only from the east. Yes, those territories were populated by a mix of people from different parts of Poland. Ah, okay. As a result, they have created a culture which is which is a synthesis. So it's something new. Yes, it's neither let's say Eastern. It's neither Western. It's something very very original and new. And on the other hand, those people, even in the communist times, they have traveled a lot. Yeah. to Germany. At that time, it was, of course, Germany. Yes. So, for instance, if you would ask why the people there are not anti-German, yes, that's because they know the Germans. I mean, they made business with the Germans and so on and so on.
That we are nice people.
Yes, of course. So you cannot scare them with the German threat and so on. It's completely impossible. On the other hand, those people are definitely less, let's say, religious. Yes, because one of the main allies of the ruling party in Poland is the Catholic Church, and if you look at the statistics when it comes to the people declaring themselves as Catholics and so on, their number in the western and northern parts of Poland is much smaller than their number in the eastern and southern part. Yes, so this is another cultural difference. We had even just a few days ago, I got a map. It was a joke, of course, yes. There was a map describing the western and northern part of Poland as Bundesrepublik Deutschland. And the eastern and southern part as GDR.
Yeah, yes. But it's
with West Berlin being Warsaw, because Warsaw also tends as a capital to vote for the opposition now.
But really, as a little advice also for our audience, check any socio-economic map of Poland and compare it with a political map of the very East Germany from 1914, and you will see it is almost identical. Really, almost identical.
If you travel by train in Poland, you can also find it in internet, of course. But I remember from the 90s, from the 80s, that in Polish trains there were maps of the let's say train connections all around Poland. Yes. Mm-hmm. So of all the existing railways and so on, yes. So the most dense network of railways was actually on the territories, on the former German territories. Yes,
that was my next point I wanted to mention. Also, if you look, for example, a map of infrastructure, street and rails and so on. And by the way, what I also saw, the satellite pictures with where you see these night pictures where it's very bright and where it's a little bit darker. What also shows you, for example, how tense the population is, how the infrastructure there as well.
Well, here you have a difference because in eastern part, particularly in the eastern and central part of Poland, you have a huge population density, yes? Mm-hmm. Because there was no general, let's say, urbanistic idea about how to create how to plan, yes, the population and the cities and so on, yes? Mm-hmm. While in the western part, there is still, you can still see let's say the Ordnung, yes, of the German urbanistic planning.
Yeah.
Even in the villages, so the population seems not to be so dense there. I mean the density, because it's very well planned in the West.
Yeah. So the West was voting for the candidate. I forgot already the name.
Trzaskowski.
Yes.
I mean, just you don't have to remember that name, yes, for the moment being, because it's not so important. I mean, they have voted against the neoconservative Law and Justice ruling party, yes, because actually they were voting against and not for. Yes?
Yeah. So you had two candidates, and one was neoconservative and the other one neoliberal.
Exactly, but all the people who reject the authoritarian ruling party of Kaczynski were voting. I mean, even me. Can you imagine? I was voting in the second round. In the second round of the elections, I was forced to vote for a neoliberal, first time in my life. And because we are just making a choice between the, let's say, authoritarian state and neoconservative authoritarian state on the one hand, and on the other hand there was, of course, neoliberal state, which is completely alien for me and for many of my friends. But for the first time, the ruling party, the Law and Justice Party, has forced several anti-system people, anti-establishment circles to vote for a neoliberal, which would be very hard to imagine a few years ago, yes?
What is also interesting for me as an outsider when I observe this, so you have the Law and Justice Party, which is of course the ruling party with also President Duda as member of the party. But do you have something like in other European countries? So what I don't see is like an anti-system big populist party. And my impression is that the Law and Justice Party and Duda are quite successful in getting those, also at least a big part of those votes. Is this a wrong impression, or is this not so wrong?
Exactly, they have absorbed the voters, and they have managed to manipulate actually the former voters of different protest movements and parties. On the other hand, you have to know that they have won the elections only in the village, only in the country. Because if you look at the statistics of the results, they have lost the elections. I mean, the presidential elections, even in small towns up to 50,000 inhabitants. Yes. So the only territory they have won completely, with having around 70% for their candidate, was the villages. Yes, and the rural areas. Well, they have. Before there used to be several political parties, including the small protest parties, Farmers Union and so on, which were doing quite well in such areas. And the idea of the authoritarian regime of Law and Justice was to, well, almost physically eliminate all alternative movements there in the village. So they perfectly knew that in Poland, due to the fact that it's quite a rural country, yes, so it is enough to have the support of majority of the people living in the villages, in the rural areas, to win the elections. Yes, even if you have all the cities against you. Yes, you can just with the small farmers, or to be precise, they are not anymore farmers. They are just living in the villages and working somewhere else very often, yes. But they have the let's say kind of village mentality, yes. So this was the main reason of their electoral victory, and of course they are, let's say, inspired by Viktor Orban and the Hungarian example. Yes,
I wanted to ask, because I think this is a very interesting phenomenon we might see now even more and more in Europe, and I think we have it also a little bit with the French President Macron, who well, we know he was forming a movement so that you have some more or less centrist, absolutely pro-system players, also such as Duda, but also like Orban, for example, who are able at the same time to absorb anti-system protest votes. And I think, this centrist phenomenon, maybe also a little bit in Austria, Kurz, who also was transforming the Conservative Party more in a direction of a movement which is somehow shaped around this person. So do you think that this will be a phenomenon we might see now even more in Europe?
Definitely, yes. I mean, in times of the forthcoming crisis, I guess that the establishment parties will try to evolve in that direction. I mean, just to keep in power, they will try to absorb and to, let's say, convince the protest electorate, the protest voters, that they are also representing their interests. So that's quite dangerous, actually, for the authentic protest movements, for the genuine protest movements, which are actually annihilated by big parties which pretend to represent the protest electorate. I think you had the same situation in Germany. In the past, yes, when someone wanted to let's say annihilate the support for the anti-system movements, yes. One of the methods was just to take some, let's say, rhetorics from such a protest movements and to use it and to manipulate the electorate.
That is very interesting because before in Germany, just as an example, the Alternative für Deutschland appeared. This was precisely always the strategy of the Christian Democrats. The Christian Democrats were always centrist, but they had always some exceptional figures which were responsible for, for getting the loyalty of the anti-system people. When this stopped under Angela Merkel, so when we once spoke already in our podcast about figures like Peter Gauweiler, for example. Yeah. So when these figures didn't get any influence, that was somehow the hour of birth for a real or more or less real anti-system force such as the AfD. But before this, it was quite the strategy of the CDU party to make absolute pro-system politics, but also always to absorb the fringe, not to allow any anti-system oppositional force for them on the right side. When it comes to the Social Democrats, they totally failed in this. So we have at the same time the Greens as a, let us say, left liberal party. We have Die Linke. So the Social Democrats definitely failed in this. And it looks like now also the Christian Democrats are failing in the strategy because there is no other explanation for the appearance of the AfD and for their success. I would say that the majority of AfD voters would have voted for figures like Peter Gauweiler and so on before, you know.
Yes, exactly. So basically, looking at different party systems in Europe, you can come to a conclusion that the big system parties have two possible strategies, two options on the table when it comes to annihilating the real protest movements. The first one is the one we have already discussed about. It's just to taking some of the points of the program and let's say stealing some political agenda, let's say from the protest movements. And the second one, which is quite effective as well, is to invite the protest movement to a coalition as a junior coalition partner, and to swallow it. Politically. Yeah. So the big parties use that. I think, for instance, if you look here in Poland, they are using the both strategies. Actually, I mean not only one options, but they are at the same time using both strategies. We have, for instance, on the right side of our political spectrum, the party which is called Confederation.
Yes,
it's quite small. They have just 11 MPs. First, Law and Justice, the ruling party, is trying to let's say, steal some ideas, for instance, when it comes to Euroscepticism and so on from that party, to steal its electorate. On the other hand, they are all the time trying to launch negotiations with the MPs. From Confederation, and just to bribe them and or to let's say blackmail them with something, and force them to join the ruling party. So this is very typical, and actually I think that all the politicians from the protest movements all around Europe should thoroughly study the Polish case, just to know how the mainstream is able to annihilate everything which is around, yes?
Yeah. Let us speak now about your old and new President Duda. I was listening to an adorable prankster call just some days ago by the two Russian pranksters, Vovan and Lexus. I am sure you also listened to that.
Of course, and I think you are impressed as well as me.
Yes. Let us listen now to a short piece.
So where you are? Where I am now?
Yeah.
In central Poland.
Okay.
I'm traveling.
How is the deal with coronavirus?
Well, coronavirus is under control in Poland. It's not a very bad situation. It's quite good.
Okay, I hope that it doesn't affect on your elections.
On our election, no. There was no danger for election and no influence.
Because I know that the situation in your neighbor Ukraine is really terrible now. So we are concerned.
Yes, there is difficult situation. Yes, we know it. We had only 38,000 cases in Poland.
Mm-hmm.
But our population is 38 million. So the number of cases is not very high. Only 1,576 persons died during the whole pandemic.
So who do you think is the main source?
The main source of the coronavirus?
Yes.
Now?
In your
it's
case.
Difficult to say.
In your case.
It's difficult to say. Mm-hmm. It could be Ukraine, because we have many people from Ukraine in our country.
So what was that? You have coronavirus because of Ukraine. Your president said that.
Well, if president says something, that means it's true. Yes, I cannot put in any kind of doubt what the president is saying, because he has an access to secret information, I guess.
Yeah, but just let us summarize what happened here. So these two Russian pranksters were calling President Duda and were pretending to be Secretary General of the United Nations António Guterres.
Yes.
And I mean, first of all, it is again an exceptional success to get right to the phone of President Duda to talk to him. But this whole conversation is somehow extremely weird. Yeah.
I mean, you mean the president himself is quite weird. Yes, exactly.
Why didn't he suspect anything? I mean,
no, I'm not talking about suspecting anything, but he's very, let's say he's very childish in
a very simple person. I would say
yes, to say the least. Anyway. I think that this is not the matter of the president, of course, but this is the matter of his administration. Yes.
Yes.
The level and the level of professionalism, of course, ironically, of his administration. Yes. It wouldn't be possible in the case of most European countries.
I wanted to say, I know this is now very, very dangerous to say something like this, but I am almost 100% sure that such a thing neither wouldn't happen to Angela Merkel nor to Mr. Steinmeier.
I'm sure.
Not because they would be super smart, but I think because the administration around them would protect them.
Because they have professional administration. Yeah. Exactly. Yes. Yeah. No. You have to understand that when it comes to Poland, I mean, to explain seriously the roots of such a situation, when it comes to Poland, the acting party, the ruling party, and the acting president have fired all the professionals which are not the members of their own party.
Yeah.
From the administration, from different levels of administration. So it's already 5 years as they are trying to build their own party state, let's say. One party controlled state. I personally know several people who are very professional, for instance, when it comes to diplomacy and so on, and who worked for many, many years for different governments, for instance, in the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. Mm-hmm. But they were fired after Law and Justice came to power, yes? So from the professional point of view, Poland is not a safe country. That's all I can tell you. Yes.
When I was listening to that, my very first thought was, oh my God, Poland doesn't need a Mateusz Piskorski to bring the national security in trouble.
Just pranksters from Russia.
Yes, and their own administration.
Yes, and of course the spokesman of our intelligence and special service has already announced that it was a professional, high-level Russian provocation, and they are doing the investigation.
They do an own investigation because of that.
Yeah, of course. So soon the Russian prankers will be on the Interpol list if the Interpol accepts the Polish requests. Yes, which I doubt.
Okay, this is really wonderful. But I mean, let us listen also to another part of the podcast where of the prankster call, because
with pleasure.
That was also funny.
So, don't you want to take back Ukrainian areas? I think there are a lot of people who will support you
in Ukraine.
Yeah, I mean Lvov and many other.
What? Excuse.
I mean Lvov and other, Lviv and many other towns.
No, this is Ukraine.
Okay, because I'm aware about that, and there is
no. There is no, Excellency. There is no discussion about it in Poland. No, this is part of Ukraine, and that's the end.
Okay.
No. This is no. This is not an item of the political discussion in Poland. No.
Okay.
No. We don't talk about this. No.
Okay. So
there is no political power in Poland with that proposal. No.
Okay. Then when I will call Mr. Zelensky again, I will tell him and make him glad.
What was that, Mateusz?
Well, some territorial revisionism, I guess, yes?
And why is Duda hesitating?
I have noticed that he was really hesitating, yeah? Perhaps he thought it was a proposition by the Secretary General, yes? And that's why he was so hesitating.
But, I mean, let us speak very open and frankly, since we are friends. When you take Lemberg back, sorry, I don't say Lvov, I say Lemberg. If you take Lemberg back, then we Germans could take at least Breslau again, right? That should be possible.
Well, from the logical point of view, yeah. But you have to talk to Secretary General of United Nations first.
Oh, but in this phone call, he sounds to me a man you can joke around and you can play such strategic.
Please find. I mean, just to try to realize such a plan, please find a good pranker in Germany, which would call Duda. And ask him to give back Breslau to Germany. I think I would agree. No, by the way, but do not present yourself as the Secretary General of United Nations, but try to pretend you are Donald Trump. And that will be everything will be solved, I'm sure.
Yes,
Breslau in everything.
That was my idea. Donald Trump calls Duda, telling him, I had yesterday a talk with Angela, and she's quite interested, and there is also a little bit money coming around.
Yeah.
So
next time Duda should call, Trump should call Duda, and I think everything would be solved,
yes, but
without checking the reliability of the phone call, yes.
And Angela Merkel and Steinmeier would be so embarrassed by this that the first thing they would do would be apologizing to Poland.
Yes, definitely.
Without any reason. They would
Yes.
simply apologize. You see? So everyone is happy.
Then everyone would be happy. Certainly, yes. We can just appeal to all prankers all over the world, yes, to call Duda. He's so nice. I mean, just take a break for around 1 month, and I guess after 1 month, the same joke, but coming from another country, not from Russia, will be quite possible and realistic.
Yes. I think it's also the right moment to promote the work of Vovan and Lexus, especially. I think I will put of course their YouTube channel into the description of this podcast. It is worth every call they ever did to listen. One can have a lot of fun. It is quite smart, and it is always scandalous.
Yes, they have already produced and made and published a lot of great stuff. I agree, and we are waiting for another calls to Polish and not only Polish politicians, but as you see, the level of the politicians they are able to contact. I mean the VIPs from different countries. Shows very precisely the map of professional administration all over the world. I mean, when they call to the countries which are deprived of any professionalism in administration, like Poland, Ukraine, and so on, they might even speak to a president. Can you imagine? I mean, you have already told that it wouldn't be possible in Germany, but I guess that it wouldn't be possible also in most of the European countries, which still have professional administration. Yes, so they perfectly choose those presidents. I remember their conversation with Poroshenko, the Ukrainian president. I remember some of their phone calls to U.S. senators, congressmen. Quite funny as well. But when it comes to the highest level, the heads of state, I think it's only possible in Poland and Ukraine when it comes to Europe.
But you know who would be the really perfect pranking victim in Germany if they manage to get through to him? Who would be? I think that would be the call of the year. And I speak about our foreign minister, Heiko Maas. I mean, he is simply, as you said already, in the very, very, very convenient situation that he has an administration which is working quite not so bad, which protects him from doing the biggest bullshit ever. But if they ever manage to get directly to his phone, I promise you will have the call of the year.
I'm sure. But anyway, this is again the matter of professional non-party administration, which is just focused on their professional duties and not on the, let's say, getting some party posts and so on, as it is in Poland and Ukraine. So this again, it shows the necessity to create professional state administration all over.
Yes. And, you think Poland might have this again sooner or later? I mean, I'm pretty much sure that Poland had a very professional state administration.
It used to have very professional state administration, of course, before the 90s.
Yeah.
Also in the 90s, because some of the people from the former administration stayed there and worked for the new one. But as I have told you, the ruling party got rid of everyone, literally everyone who worked for the previous governments and who was a professional. Yeah? Mm-hmm. And this, you can see the results just with Duda. Yes? So you can imagine what else could be done. I mean, also the things we don't know about, if it works like that.
So for us, this is quite good because it delivers always a very spicy and nice topic for a podcast.
Yes, and quite fun.
Yes. So, and now we are unfortunately already at the end. So we are watching what will happen in Poland. Most probably nothing will happen, right? It will stay all as it was?
Of course. I mean, if you want to check what's going to happen in Poland, and just look on what's going to happen in the United States, because this is a dependent territory, as you know.
So when, in case Trump will lose the elections in November, and will be replaced by a little bit disoriented elderly man. You see, I forgot now even his name.
You are becoming also disoriented.
Yes. I was reading too much about
Joseph Biden.
Oh yes, I was reading too much about Poland. You see what happens to me. Yes. And there is not even one Y in this name, John Biden, right?
Yeah.
Yes, you see. But that means Duda will stay alone.
Yes, he'll stay alone probably, and I guess that was very symbolic that the opponent of Duda. I will mention again his name, Trzaskowski, the neoliberal one. He has also made a phone call. Duda during the election campaign, on the very last days of election campaign before the first round, went to Washington to meet Trump. On the other hand, his main opponent, made a phone call to Barack Obama, which is also very interesting.
Forgot.
Yeah. So this clearly shows that the Democrats have one party here and the Republicans have another party here in Poland.
So and if Trump is not elected and Duda stands alone, you can do nothing else than attacking Czech Republic again or so, right?
I think, yes, that there will be some desperate steps.
Exactly. So let us stay not so desperate. We will go back into our old rhythm of the podcast after our little summer break. It was a pleasure again to talk to you.
It was a pleasure to talk to you and to hear you again after the holidays.
Yes, we are both quite tanned and have white teeth, and our surfboards are standing outside at the wall, right? Okay, so hear you next time. Thank you so much.
Hear you soon. Thank you.
This program was presented to you by Manuel Ochsenreiter and Mateusz Piskorski, the hottest dissident who won't violate any time the global rules against racism, extremism, or any other bad isms.